So, but Akeidad, for those who don't know what the Akeidad is, I think you have bigger problems than my share. So Hashem tells Avraham Avinu to go ahead and do the Akeidad. Take Yitzchak as a carver. So the Hashem introduces the Akeidad with the following word: Vayomer kach na es bincha. Please, like Hashem is asking Avraham Avinu, hey Abe, do me a solid. Kach na, says Rashi. Ein na ela loshem hakosha. Na means please. It's like you're requesting. Amalo, Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, B'vaksha mimcha, I'm asking you a request. Amali b'zeh nesayon. Please, nesayon, please pass this test. Shelo yomu rishonos elo haya behem mamish. If you don't pass this test, people are going to say, just like you didn't pass this test, so even everything else that you did until now were questionable. So I really need you to do this one, because this one is going to show that all the tests until now were really authoritative, and you really passed with flying colors. Not just this one, but all of them. If you look later on, at the end of the Akeidad, when Avraham Avinu was told not to do anything, Pasuk says, don't do anything. Ki ata yadati, because now I know, ki yir Elohim ata, that you are a God-fearing person, because you didn't withhold your son, your only son, from me. I mean, he didn't do anything, but that was only because the Mara told him not to. But be'etzem, he was going to do it. Gemara says a person that wants to do a mitzvah and the onus happens, can't get bigger onus than Hashem tells you not to do it, right? And you don't do it, not because you weren't ready to do it. He was ready, he was there. He had the knife, he was ready to go. He didn't do it because God told him not to do it. It's considered as if he did it. Okay, so that's just shot in the pasuk. You didn't withhold your son from me, but you did. Okay, going to the Talmud, it makes sense. No, he didn't withhold his son. It's considered as if his son was slaughtered. Okay, but that's not what we came here to discuss tonight. We came here to discuss, the pasuk says, God says, because now I know that you're a God-fearing person. What do you mean? This was the 10th test. So, what happened to the other 9? Were they chopped liver?
What do you mean? This was the final test.
It was the final test.
That's why it's acknowledged.
But the pasuk says, because now I know that you're a God-fearing person.
It's like now I know. It's like before you.
How about the first 9? Right. So that's what Rashi was saying before. That if you don't pass this test, the first 9 are going to be no good. What do you mean? Why can't it be first 9 were okay, 10 no good? So 9 out of 10 ain't bad, right? 9 out of 10 ain't bad at all. Rashi doesn't say that. The pasuk is saying that without this test, Avraham Avinu does not show any fear of God. So I just wanted to bring in this Rashi to strengthen the kasha of the Vilna Gaon. That's the Vilna Gaon's kasha. How come the Torah is saying that without this test and the Akeidad, Avraham Avinu would be considered as if he had no fear of God? What do you mean? How about all the tests until now? The Vilna Gaon says a beautiful answer, and that's as follows. The only way a person can be proven and shown that he has true fear of God is if you see in his actions the opposite extreme. If a person only does the mitzvos that require a certain emotion, so you don't know that when he does the mitzvos or he lives his life, he's living his life the way the Torah told him to do it. No. Maybe he only does the mitzvos and he lives his life the way it fits into his lifestyle, the way he naturally, by teva, his inclination is to be a certain way. Avraham Avinu, as we all know, was the Amud HaChesed, the pillar of kindness. All the things he did now were all kindness. Chesed, right? All the mitzvahs the Torah talks about. So Torah Avinu was ready to do this act of, butchering, really, really terrible thing, to slaughter his only son, right? I mean, his only real son, from Sarah, that he waited so many years for. Only when he was ready to do that, did that show that all the chesed he did in Torah now wasn't just because he's a nice guy, but that was because the Torah said you have to do chesed. So you hear what I'm saying, Shmuel? If a person only does certain things, your father, for example, a wonderful person, has people over all the time, likes to do mitzvahs, likes to help people out. But maybe that's just because he's a nice guy. He forgot that his name is Yaakov. He thought Yaakov was the Amur Chesed. He forgot that Yaakov was Amur Torah. Okay, so maybe he was just being a nice guy because that's what he's supposed to do. Until you do an act of the opposite extreme, you don't know whether or not the way you act is because of the Torah or because that's the way you, by Torah, by nature, that's the way you are. Now, Shmuel works the other way too. You have the guy who's always yelling and screaming. How do we know whether or not he's giving mussar because he's doing what he thinks the Torah demands, or he's just the guy that likes to yell and scream and get mad and tell people what to do? How do you know when that guy is yelling and screaming and giving mussar and how do you know that he's really doing his avodas Hashem? If that same guy does chesed and is a nice guy, helps people out. Until he does that, you don't know that the making machos, what's machos in English? Protest, the chvod Torah, to stand up for the honor of Torah. How do you know if he's really being a Eved Hashem, or he just has a problem with his kas? Only when that same guy can do chesed. When the Baal Chesed can do something which is the opposite of chesed, like slaughtering your son, then you see that l'mafreya, retroactively, all the things that you did were not because of that's your nature, because that's because what the Torah said. Beautiful boyfriend building going. Beautiful. And Tony did the Akeidad. We didn't know that the chesed and all the great things that he did is because that's what the Torah demanded of him. Maybe he was just a nice guy. So only when Avinu was ready to do the Akeidad was his Yerushalayim manifest. Says the Vilna Gaon, and I'll end with this. It's interesting, in the Torah promises long life, longevity, for two mitzvahs. Shmuel, what are they? Kibbud Avim, honoring your parents, and Shalom Hakeh, chasing away the mother bird. Chasing away the mother bird, I know there's different ways to learn it. We're going to learn now the way the Vilna Gaon learns on it. It's an act of axarius, of cruelty. You have to go and chase away the mother bird. It's an act of seemingly of cruelty. Honoring your parents is rachmanis, is merciful, kindness, helping out. Only when you're able to do the opposite extreme, do you get longevity. The Torah is trying to show the same reward for two mitzvahs on the opposite end of the spectrum, to show that only when you're able to be the master of your emotions and to do the opposite extreme is your Yerushalayim manifest, is your fear of heaven manifest, and for that you have the reward of long life. Let's be zeicha, let's merit to realize this concept and become masters of our emotions and follow in the ways of the Torah.